All right, if we walk out here to the field of sadness, which project do we need to tackle first? Well, there are many. That needs to get done because he brought it about a week ago and I haven't even looked at it yet because of everything that's been going on. This has to be done because people are waiting on it. And I'm about over this thing. So I guess this is what we'll start on tomorrow, probably, because we'll probably run out of daylight. But we might as well explain what's happening, and I'll do that right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Oliver, man. If we step back and admire this pear and our beautiful sunset that almost makes us forget that this is the field of sadness. This is a Great Plains 1006 NT drill that I got blessed with the joy of being the guy that fixes it when it breaks. And so far, in the last year, this thing has just absolutely been a piece of garbage. And it makes me so mad because it keeps coming back destroyed. And it keeps doing the same thing. And it keeps getting worse each time. But I can't find anything that tells me such is what it is. Now, if you recall back many videos ago, we put this brand new transmission on. It's underneath this cover. It's like a lawnmower transmission, you know, but it says made for Great Plains, but that's what it is, like a little peerless aluminum transmission. The problem we are constantly having here, or people they call and they say a bearing's out. Well, it's not a bearing that's out. What it keeps doing is it keeps shearing the roll pin out of that shaft on the clutch, and so as such nothing will turn, or when it does turn, it turns intermittently, and then people have skips and it complains. And to compound our sadness, like 2 guys ago who rented it, he beat the tar out of it with a hammer and totally mangled it where it won't even come apart now. So now I'm going to probably end up buying this whole entire shaft and disassembling everything just to get it to go. So if you look at it here, you see how it's turning in that nut? Yeah, and there it grabs and there it slips. That's our problem. That's supposed to turn like this all the time. It's supposed to be connected because that's connected to the wheel, as far as I recollect or understand how this goes, you see. And then what happens is when you let it down, I might have that backwards, but at either rate, when you let it down, the 2 halves of the clutch come together, and then it drives this chain, which goes through the transmission, and it goes over here to this, which also you change speeds at, and then it goes back here, and it drives your back. Just took the crank to the sack, that's fine. It drives your back hopper here. And the back hopper, well, I guess I shouldn't say back hopper, because this one actually has the optional small seed 3rd attachment. But what it does is it drives the 2nd box, which also has an agitator in it. And so that side, I guess you would call it technically the middle box, is driven off that transmission, and the other side of the drill drives the back box here for small seeds and the front box of the drill right here. And so essentially the grass seeder box that has the agitator is totally useless now because it keeps having this problem, and that's the one everybody wants to use. Now, do we want to compound our sadness and show you more stuff people tear up? About 4 times now, I have had to replace these little plastic cogs because people feed the wrong stuff in there. It looks almost like they fed rocks through it. I don't know if they thought they put fertilizer in it. It's pretty rusty this time. But what it does is, when you put the wrong seed in there, that one especially there, I'll have to get it all the way open. But you can see how mangled it is. Well, friends, guess what? That's garbage. It won't plant right like that. And it just compounds the problem, because now it'll let more stuff in there than it's supposed to be, and it just keeps wedging in there and grinding and making it worse. And it's very frustrating when you have to fix the same stuff over and over that people keep tearing up. But we're gonna have to figure this problem out, because I'm at my wit's end with this. I mean, there is no reason why this should be doing it. To my notion, about the only way that this could be causing a problem would be on this end of the thing, in order for it to be shearing that the way that it is. And I don't know if I can make sense of that for you, why I think that, but if the wheel is driving this, or if that just, oh, I know why it's doing that. It's letting me turn that because the wheel's not locked in. Your wheel has to be locked in. Then that drives this chain. So if it keeps shearing that right here, this pin off, then it can't be that there is a problem in the drive line of this wheel, in my thinking, because I got to thinking, well, maybe the chain has too much slack and it's catching somewhere all at once, and then I just don't think that's where the trouble could be, because it's driving through there, so this shouldn't make a problem. Where it's going to have to be the problem is, like, there's a tremendous load on this side all at once that causes that to shear off. Another thought I've had is that the guys are driving through the field and they just slam it to the ground as fast as they can go, and that shock is causing it sometimes, and they don't do it all the time, and they don't do it right away maybe, and that's why it's intermittent like this. But why did it work before and it's not working now? That's my big struggle I'm working with here. I see some rubbing here, like this chain has been hitting this metal cover. Do you think that rubbing this metal cover, that maybe sometimes the rivet would catch and be enough to cause it to shear and put a load on it? And see, the thing you gotta understand here, or what I'm thinking, and I might be totally a moron, I know I am, but the force is kind of going to be multiplied because this is all turning so slow. This thing gear reduces it so much that I'm wondering if a little bit of an obstruction on this side translates to a hard shock load on there. There are things where when you have it geared down, you can turn it one way real easy, but if you try to turn the output side to drive the input shaft, you don't have the muscle to do it. And I'm wondering if that somehow is playing into this issue, where it's just something slight is catching. And I'm wondering, we may pull this cover off again and take a look at it and see if that might be, like, maybe this, it's about time to replace chains on it anyway, so I might do that now. But maybe when the thing's going, the bouncing in the field, there's enough flex and a rivet catches the edge just enough, and that force is multiplied and it shears that roll pin off. I don't know. But the big problem I got is the other guy mangled that shaft so bad that I don't know if I'll be able to really salvage it. After he did that, I had to drill it out. It was a mangled mess. And I drilled it out in the parking lot, and I put in the next size stuff. And I was hoping that would solve our problem, and here we are again with the same garbage. But I have it home now where I can hook it to a tractor. And that's an advantage I have not had the last few times that I dealt with this, because I just did it mobily in town, you know. So what I'm thinking is going to take place, and we'll probably have to wait now till the daylight of the morning so that I can really watch what's happening, is we're going to set it down and we're going to pull it forward and we're going to just watch everything and see if there's something that's going crazy or something that's wobbling. And if we can't see anything while it's running, then the next thing I'm going to do is take all the chains off, and I'm going to go through one thing at a time. I'm going to turn the agitator by hand. I can pull off some of these covers to get a little bit better access to where we're going. Not a whole lot, but I could turn the agitator separately and see if there's a load on it, like there's a bearing out somewhere that I can't see. And I'm going to turn the actual unit drives here and see if there's something in that seems like it's a tough spot, or something is not right in one of those. It's just got sealed bearings hanging, and I mean, I don't know, I'm really struggling to try to figure this out, why I cannot seem to locate the issue, and it's ongoing. But like I've said before, this poor thing inherently, because of the nature of the beast, is very much abused, because it is, anytime you have a piece of equipment that's used by dozens and dozens of people, it just seems like it wears a lot worse than something where you have the same guy operating it all the time. And it's not all their fault. A lot of it is a lack of understanding. There's a lot of calls. How do you do this? How does it work? How do you set it up? Anyway, it's getting dark and the camera's getting too hot, so we're gonna have to quit. But I think a lot of the trouble is people just don't take the time to read the book. They always want to just call somebody and have them give them the answer. I get a little bit of that on YouTube, where people call me and they say, what kind of filter number does it take for a 1650? Or what kind of oil should I use? Or how do I adjust this or that? Well, guess what? The museum sells manuals. Buy one and read it. All that stuff's in there. I mean, it makes me sound rude, but does it really? You know, my time's worth something. I don't know. I'm getting on a rant again, but I shouldn't have to answer the question just because you're too lazy to buy a manual, you know? That's kind of how I feel about it. I guess it won't let me do that from here. I'm kind of afraid that I'm so fat that I will tip this up in the air if I get on the back of it without it being hooked up. But there's our agitator. Oh, I see the last few guys cleaned it out like they're supposed to. Yeah, real good. So we'll check that over and make sure that's spinning easy. I think it is, just looking at it now. But that's a potential thing that could have something bent and it might be catching. But see, read the stickers. It even says native grass mix only. This poor little thing. Boy, it's getting rusty. I bet somebody tried to run fertilizer through there. I just bet. Nothing would surprise me anymore. We might as well look at this one while we're at it. There's nothing in there. It's just a regular grain drill box. It's got a float gauge to show you the level, but if you were going to plant soybeans, you would use that box. This box is for native grass only, or grass seeds. You know what grass seeds look like? And then this back box is for stuff like alfalfa, little tiny hard seeds. But people don't take the time to read the book, which tells you that stuff. All right, it's the next day, and unfortunately, my brain is playing keep away with my intelligence, because I realized that I'm gonna have to fix that first before doing anything, or I'll never know if what I did anything, if that makes sense, because it will not drive, you know, right now. Even if I lock this in, it's still not going to constantly turn what's supposed to be happening. This is one of those deals where, is it worth it? Is this job worth it? Or should I just say, get somebody else? I don't know. I hate this drill so much. I gotta remember how this works. I should know by now because I've done it so many freaking times. But I forgot in order to do it up in the air. Well, I wouldn't have to do that. What I'll do is I'll let the drill down because we're gonna do that anyway. Which means start up the tractor, raise it up, take the stops out, and then let her down. I'm just beside myself with sadness, friends. I can't hardly take it anymore. Let's go along so I can show you the kind of stuff that people do. We lost the pin, apparently. So, let's just stick a bolt in it. Let's not go over to the store and buy a pin to replace what we lost. But really, in honesty, this guy didn't lose that pin, he stole it. He needed one for something he had, so he took it and used it and then put this bolt back in its place. And since nobody ever follows through with holding people accountable, he'll get away with it. They steal hydraulic hoses. One time they stole a tire. I put on a Firestone tire and it came back with a Chinese tire. So, yeah, it's just, one guy said he lost this, but there again, I don't think he did. I think he wanted a nice one on his piece of equipment. So he put this homemade piece of garbage on here and then said it was fine, and they didn't want to pursue it. So air in the hydraulics. Yeah, I'm just over this. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's so stupid that people lie and cheat and do stuff like this, and they don't seem to think there's a problem. I still messed up though, because I'm still gonna have to take it loose so I can get it all the way together, because you got to have the whole shebang to do it. That's not enough. Come on. Okay, that looks kind of crappy. See, this is all screwed up now because of that last guy that just hammered her home. I mean, I just don't know what to do anymore. I mean, I just don't know. I really love sitting in the sun to do this too. It's a lot of fun. Okay. Well, that's sheared off totally. This time it was actually 2 pins in. I'm gonna have to angle grind the heck out of it, I guess, and hope that I can get that to slip over there, because that other guy just totally destroyed it. This blows chunks, I'll tell you. Let's see if we can get that pulled out of the, it should just be in the nut. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a total shear. Now, if I take this off, well, okay, 2 pieces came off. But that nut won't come off of there because he battered it. Yeah. And if you're thinking, oh, that didn't look too bad, well, what you don't know is that last time I worked on it, I took a file with me and I worked on it. That's all I had. And I had to work and work and work again. See, that's not going to come off of there. I got to grind this too. Is it going to go? Maybe now. I mean, it don't look like it's wore that bad. And that's what makes me wonder, you know, unless this is wore, but I don't think so. I think it's fine. It's not that it doesn't engage, it's that it has a meltdown. Yeah, and it's the same way with this. I mean, there's just no, it's not bad. Okay, now that doesn't sound very nice. Let's see if we can figure out what we're doing. So, turning this, that chain in there from the wheel has a little bit more slop in it than I'd like, so I think I can tighten it up. I got plenty bolt here. Basically, you just screw that down and it should pull that idler up, I believe. That's also the thing that holds the cover on. So, but I'm just hard pressed to say that that is going to be what was causing our issue, because that's not the end. I don't think that end was the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like I might be pointed out in that other, well, it was this video, but earlier. If that was the problem, if the wheel would catch, it would just mean that everything would stop turning. And I don't think that that would shear this pin. It would have to be a restriction on this side that was causing that pin to shear. You know? That's just my thinking. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that, but I just... Of course, that's not right. I didn't figure it was. I don't have the right size wrench, so I'll just do like usual and rig it, you know? Am I going the right way or not? That's the next thing. I thought if you screwed this down, it pushed up on that arm and took out the slack of the chain. But I guess I'm not remembering. I did take out slack, but I don't know about that. Just feeling down in there, I just don't, I just don't think there I'm into it pretty good, but yeah, I think that I need to take a link out of that wheel chain, because that seems pretty like I shouldn't have to have it down that far, is what I'm saying. But then I know what'll happen. It'll be so tight that you won't be able to. Okay, friends, I'm at a loss for words because I'm gonna take that off, but I took it off of here, and I can turn this just as easy as can be. I mean, and I guess it works both ways. What worries me though is this, that was part of what, you know, right there, we talked about maybe it was catching on that shield, but I don't know. So far I'm not seeing any. I've got her geared up fast right now. You know, if I shift it down to low speed, ooh, I missed the gear. Yeah. I mean, you see how fast I'm spinning it to get. But I'm changing my position now. I mean, that's beautiful. It smooth as silk, really. The rattling you hear is me hitting the shroud, you see. So I don't think, you know, there's road gear. Now that's a load on my chain, but still, there ain't nothing. I was hoping to feel something or see something that maybe was our issue, but I don't think so. I'm gonna get new chains, I think, for it. It's about time anyway. And I'm wondering now if that wheel chain, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we need, who knows what we need. We still can't get that off because of the moron. So I gotta grind on it some more so I can pull this off of there. I wanna see what we got going on back here. There we go. I don't really know. Without looking at the parts book, I don't really know what we got going on in here, but I think it's just... Is there a bearing in here? If there is, maybe that needs to be replaced. See, there's a little bit of places it like grabs, and maybe it's not supposed to. We're going to take that loose and pull that out of there and just see what's in there. If there's a bearing, it might not be worth being replaced. And maybe I need to put a bushing behind this to hold which looks like that's kind of what it had. Wow. That's odd. So it's got a solid pin, it looks like, through this shaft to hold the shaft the way that it is, and then this piece butts up against that. But this here is what I'm wondering if our issue is partly. Is this really supposed to do this? It doesn't. You wouldn't think it would matter, but I'm wondering now. See, the spring would hold it tight this way, so you wouldn't think that would matter. But what I'm wondering is if it would get to where it's catching like this, would that be enough? But I don't think so. I just don't think so. I think there's a bearing in here, and maybe I'll replace it, because maybe if I take this off it'll be obvious. Maybe there's a ball loose or something, and it catches sometimes or something. But I just don't see anything that screams why it keeps doing this same problem. Everything looks perfect. We're gonna have to do some more work to this though now, because we've got major wearage here. We're gonna end up putting a different shaft in it. I just know we are at some point. And we're just, this piece here is gonna let us down, I'm afraid, before too long. And you're gonna say, well, put a bolt in it or something, you know. Well, unfortunately, I thought of that once before, and you're limited because the fact that it has to fit in this holder. So if you did a bolt, you couldn't have any nuts on it, and you would have to, I don't know exactly what you'd have to do. You don't have the room to push it back farther like this, because if you do, the spring is so compressed that it won't physically, there's not enough room for it to retract all the way. I tried it last time. Well, you're too hot and shut off, but we're about at the point where we're gonna probably need parts anyway if I do this, so. And I think that would be good whilst I have this apart. I mean, it's something else to try, because I've tried about everything and I'm just not seeing. That's nothing. That's solid. That's not a bearing. That's just a stub shaft. And it just seems so tight now. I mean, there's a little wear, but I don't think that's enough to justify what's happening. That's kind of cupped and wore there. I mean, does that need replaced in some way? Maybe I need to order this piece. Maybe if I order this piece and maybe if I order this piece and I order that washer, maybe that would help us a little bit. But boy, I just don't see what the trouble is. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. The shaft is just getting chewed up from this every time, you know. I wonder how hard it would be to get that I have to look at the parts book and see what. Now that shaft actually has a keyway down there for the wheel sprocket. I just wonder how difficult it would be to go ahead and. All right, well, since I got it here and it's out of commission, and since I got it apart, I'm gonna go ahead and order a bunch of pieces, and we're just gonna put that on because it's obviously had a lot of trauma from this. So if I replace this hex piece and the little spacer bushing thing behind it and replace a few chains, we might be golden. I don't know. I mean, but I just wish I understood why it keeps doing that. I mean, it has to have something to do with, you know, maybe driving too fast and slamming it to the ground. The clutch slams together, you know, like we're not taking our time when we start out on the ends, or, but it lasted, you know, so long without any trouble, and now here the last year it's been constant trouble. So I don't know. I mean, I tightened up that wheel chain a little bit, but it's kind of wore, so maybe if I just replace the wheel chain, maybe that will give us a little bit more, you know. I need to look at the parts book to decide what I all want to do. But You know, I think that replacing a few little things that are wore isn't going to be money wasted, and maybe then we won't have any more issue. But just as far as it goes, like the clutch pieces, they just aren't that wore. I mean, they look acceptable to me. I mean, maybe I should go ahead and order all the clutch pieces. Anyway, camera's getting too hot, but we might as well call this one here. This is just another one of life's mysteries that I somehow get myself into. But we're gonna order a few little new pieces, and we're gonna try to make it more better. And like I said, hopefully then we won't have any more issue, but it's getting to the point where I'm kind of out of ideas. So I guess if you've encountered a problem like this before, maybe say something, but right now I'm just kind of at a loss. Maybe it's just a combination of little things that are making it do this, but eventually we'll end up running out of things to replace, you know. So, but I don't see any bearings out or anything major, so but I'll order the few things and we'll see what happens. So until next time, we'll call this one here. As always, if you enjoy my videos, give them a thumbs up. Leave a comment and tell me how dumb you think I am. Or if by some slim chance you liked it, say that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.